Okay, good morning guys. Apologies for the late start this morning. I was painting Crystal Collapse Minis, trying to get a few bits finished ready for launch, and time got away with me and I just forgot what time we were actually on. So today, I've got until about 2 o'clock. I'm going to attempt my February sculpting challenge. So the challenge, if you're not aware what I'm talking about, the challenges are something I'm running on the Discord server now. Wrong one, wrong window. Sorry. So basically, here we go. So on our Discord server, we've got sculpting challenges down the bottom, February 2024. Now this challenge isn't going to close at any point. It's going to stay open. So if you turn up later on, you're watching this in June, July, December, whatever, February 2025, this will still be here. Todd, good morning. Thanks for the follow. Bartos, thank you as well. And Marcus as well. A little bit of a Facebook splurge. Okay, guys. So yeah, this challenge, we're going to do a new one every month. We're going to follow the same format. So I've used a book called Fantasy Genesis by Chuck Lucas. Chuck's a fantastic artist. He's done a lot of stuff for Magic the Gathering and other collectible card games. Look him up and give him a follow on social media because he's amazing. But the book is, if you're an artist and you ever get stuck in a bit of a rut and you're kind of creatively stumped and you don't know where to go with your work, you literally bust out a few dice, roll some tables, and you can generate like a prompts list, and the idea being that you incorporate those prompts into your design, and it gets your brain thinking outside of its normal parameters, doing something that's outside of your comfort zone. It allows you to kind of improve in an area you hadn't even expected to be able to improve into, or hadn't been looking to improve in necessarily. But it also kind of in a world where AI is becoming more prevalent, and the temptation is to just throw a few prompts into ChatGPT and Midjourney and whatnot to kind of get your inspiration back out again, and let AI do the hard work, which obviously, you know, we know it's scalping other people's ideas and other people's work, so you're not going to get anything truly original from AI necessarily. So this allows you to kind of start thinking without that kind of external kind of resource, if you like, to start looking, go back to grassroots, look at the resource material, look at your reference, reference material, photographs of the subjects and whatnot, and then decide how you're going to kind of incorporate the elements. I'm going to be doing this from scratch today. I haven't even thought about this yet. I haven't had time to this month. It's been a bit of a mad one. So we're going to be working on the following prompts. So we've got bees and wasps, we've got mushrooms, we've got an expression which is timid and bashful, an action which is swinging a weapon, then we've got electric bolts, and we've also got pen/paintbrush. So the intention here is not to just do a humanoid bee with a mushroom hat, looking a little bit shy, swinging around a paintbrush axe that's got electric bolts crackling off it. I mean, that's one way of approaching it, right? That's a very literal way of doing it. It actually sounds like it might not be a bad character, to be fair. But what we're trying to do here is to say, right, we can look at the bees and the wasps, and we can look at mushrooms, and what we can paintbrushes and electric bolts. We can look at the patterns of an electric bolt. We can look at the kind of the like the char marks you get on them and things like that, when something's been hit by it, or you've seen the wood grain things where people put two nails in and they send electric current between, and it kind of leaves a kind of a burnt vein in the wood. So all of those kinds of things we can look at for the electric bolts. Pens and paintbrushes, you've obviously got you've got a rollerball nib, you've got kind of an inkwell, we've got the ferrule and the bristles and the handle and things like that. There's all these different elements we can kind of look at. We can look at the shape of them, we can look at the way the bristles are attached in and things like that, and that could become part of the sculpt. For the mushrooms, you've got like the, I don't know how you call it now, like the skin of the mushroom, like the surface. There's all this kind of the interesting textures you get on the mushrooms, and there's a whole plethora of mushrooms to kind of choose from, so you can kind of go into any kind of level of fungi there. Then you've got like the gills on the underside of the mushroom, and you've got the stalk and things like that. So there's all these different bits we can look at and we can draw influence from. And then with bees and wasps, we've got things like the wings, you've got the stripy patterns. Morning, Rich, how you doing, mate? We've got the like the hairy kind of shoulders that you get on a bee. You've got obviously bumblebees with like big fur balls that kind of could lend themselves to another character design. Oh, very nice, slicing Lucinda. Good luck with that one, man. I've had issues with printing at the elbow, so just be mindful of that. I think it's her left, the arm that's holding the nothing, the one that's not holding anything. Sometimes the elbow on that one has failed a little bit, so you might want to chuck a couple of extra supports in there. Just be mindful of that one, mate. I need to update my current supports into the online files, because I'm not sure when I last modified them and updated them. But also, it could have just been a bit of cold weather. Do you know what I mean? It could be the supports are fine. It was the weather might have caused the problem. No worries, mate. Okay, so basically we're gonna first off, I'm gonna go and jump onto Canva. So I've opened a whiteboard on Canva. So if you don't know what Canva is, it's a kind of a free to use package online that lets you do all sorts. You can write documents in it. You can do a whiteboard, like a mood board kind of thing. You can create flyers. You can use it for Facebook posts, video creation, video thumbnails, all sorts of things. There's loads of reasons to use Canva, and it's a great tool. There's loads of templates you can use to make your life easier. You can see I use it for my advertising on Facebook. We use it for building the Crystal Collapse rulebook, for a couple of other odds and sods. But we've also then got the whiteboard over here, which is what we're going to use today for this. I'm just going to dump some images in there, basically. So I need Google. Let's do some Google foo. Oh, very nice. There you go then. To test the supports, use the heating belt and see if the supports are the issue, or if it's the what do we call it? The other thing, the resin, the temperature. Okay, so we're going to go for mushrooms. Okay, so there's an interesting one. We've got a little cluster of, are they enoki mushrooms or something like that? Let's pop them in the mood board. So that could be a useful little a useful image. Here now, I like these ones. They're proper like toadstool-y type looking jobs. I always find these quite interesting when you see them. We don't get them very much over here in the UK. Not that I've seen. I have seen them. I've seen them in places, but not kind of often. Now here's the gills underneath that we were looking at, I was talking about earlier. And that's quite a nice design. If you're doing anything organic, say if we've got like a shell or a carapace kind of like overhanging, say if we did like a tortoise shell, we're going to do the underside, rather than having the underside as being another part of a shell, we could have the tortoise shell on the back. We could use these kind of like gill connectors to kind of connect in the body. This isn't necessarily going to end up in a finished model, by the way. This is like an exercise, so we're not necessarily looking to have everything kind of finished and perfect. You're going to be joining in, Rich? A little bit of character design. So you don't have to be perfect with it. It doesn't even have to be a sculpt. It can be drawing or anything. But that's quite a nice one if you're going to use like a body. The king oyster mushrooms here. That's quite a good. You know, if you're going to do like a myconoid or mycinoid kind of mushroom monster, that would be a good base to work from. No worries, mate. This one as well, like a little side profile. I mean, that kind of already looks to me a bit like an axe head. So we could almost use a similar kind of design. We could do like an axe type tail. We could do an actual the character swinging a weapon. It could be an axe that's got a kind of this mushroomy kind of profile to it. Let's see. And there you go. There's a little mushroom character. Got a selection of different mushroom shapes, and again, some of these kind of things. This one here is quite an alien-looking thing. That's a is it a morel mushroom? Is it? I think, if I remember right, morel mushroom. I quite like these little white scabby bits. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to use that somewhere on the design, along with this like little fin that you get around the stalk here. I'm kind of thinking I want to use this like the enoki kind of mushroom clusters and this kind of like texture somewhere on it. They're my two kind of gut instincts that I'm feeling. Although that is, I mean, if you've got trypophobia, I really apologise right now because this is going to really mess you up, but I think that's how you say it anyway, trypophobia, the fear of holes thing. Okay, so now we're going to have a little look for bees. I'm going to go for bees rather than wasps because I don't like wasps. Horrible little Asbo bastards with stripy jackets on. Not a fan. Now I'm not going to be colouring this model, and obviously if you are doing the challenge, feel free to colour it, feel free to draw it and illustrate it, feel free to sculpt it and paint it, whatever you want to do. The end product is not actually important. It's the act of kind of the critical thinking that we're trying to get into, the creative process of kind of combining these different ideas and doing something that you wouldn't normally kind of default to. This is not my usual bag of tricks by any means, and if you've watched any of my streams, you'll know that. Right, so I'm liking the little hairy back. I do love a nice bee. Keep watching this woman on YouTube, and she kind of goes and rescues all the bees. I don't know if you guys have seen her or not. The woman's absolutely amazing. But she literally goes in there in like a vest with like no gloves or anything else and just shoves her hand into the bees hive. It's like, you know, there'd be like 750,000 bees buzzing around her and stuff, and she's just completely calm, kind of scooping handfuls of bees up and stuffing them into a box, and then hunting the queen out and kind of sticking her in the a little clip thing. Right, so I think get a couple of close-ups of like the bees' faces and things. Again, we're not necessarily going to just do a bee's head, but like some of these designs, I really like the antenna style on a bee, and that could be a nice little feature we can incorporate in. The mandibles again could be a useful bit. I mean, just making it hairy or you know, whatever we're doing hairy generally kind of seems to fit the bill a little bit. But look, the head's kind of like a heart shape, kind of. So we could maybe use a kind of a similar kind of thing for the head of whatever we're doing. And I don't know if you can see on this one properly or not, but the eyes have got an amazing texture. If you can actually get in for a real close-up, you can see this kind of. In fact, let's get that, because that's going to be a useful one. I might want to use. And so we've got a really nice texture there that we could kind of try and emulate. Looks like tiny. In fact, it reminds me of the if you blacked out the side of Selfridges in Birmingham, the Selfridge building. It's got that same kind of like Selfridge building. If you don't know it already, by the way, is it's like a landmark in Birmingham where I'm from. And we have these, like, it's a weird shaped building. It's got these huge, great big kind of like metal discs, like these polished metal discs on it, and they're kind of slightly domed, very much like this kind of pattern on here. In fact, I've got to show you, haven't I? So there you go, like that. This is the building. You see what I mean about this kind of like this kind of the same texture on there is what's on the bee's eye. And it's almost got a kind of a honeycomb type effect on it, because obviously we're having the circles, but then the voids in between the circles, because they don't overlap, you do have that kind of honeycomby kind of effect going on. Right, let's get back to my bees. Now that I've showed you that. Right, while we're on bees, actually, let's talk honeycomb. Oh, didn't mean to do that thing. Let's talk about the honeycomb side of things. And I know I said I didn't like wasps, but we might as well go and have a little look at some wasps as well. So I haven't even looked at the wings here. I think I'm just going to bypass on the wings, to be honest. There we go, lovely cute bumblebee. I'm just going to pull up a couple of paintbrushes. So I'm kind of thinking, while we're dealing with hairy things, we've got paintbrushes that have bristles, and they obviously have like the ferrule around the end of the brush. Let's have a look at a couple of different brush patterns. And then we'll grab the rest of my prompts now. Swinging a weapon, electric bolts. Okay. Obviously, swinging a weapon, it could be an organic weapon if you're going to do a creature. So it could just be, say, it's got like a, say we said like earlier about using a mushroom slice as a kind of an axe blade for a kind of an organic tail, or maybe it's a mushroom blade, a mushroom type blade that's crimped onto a tail using a kind of a ferrule style connection. So these, whichever way we take this as a kind of a design, you don't have to kind of think literally when you're reading the prompts. Okay, so a weapon could just be an organic weapon, if you like. A fist is a weapon, isn't it, if employed properly? But I'll be honest, I ain't getting a lot out of a paintbrush here, to be fair. Short of like the bristle shapes and things like that possibly being incorporated as like you know, a little fan brush mohawk, or I think if we included like armour and we include some mechanical components, we're probably getting a little bit closer to being able to use things like the ferrule and stuff like that on the in the design. Brush handles as well. I mean, if you look at these kind of brushes, why did that open straight away instead of popping up into the thing? Oh, it's a sale link. But yeah, like these kind of brushes here, we could potentially use like the handle shape. Could be a bit of an influence on something. Let's just put it in there as a kind of a. Now, not every image in here I'm going to use. This is our mood board. This is our kind of like, you know, so we don't have to keep flitting backwards and forwards through Google and finding different images. We can pop them all in here. We can zoom in. We can kind of scroll around. We can find the ones we want. It just makes it nice and easy for us. Right then, and then lightning. Let's. There you go. So we want some nice pictures of some fork lightning, because when you think of lightning, this is what you think of, isn't it? And it's these kinds of patterns. Now it could be that we go for something kind of generally with an electrical feel. It may be that we go for kind of an effect. Because bear in mind, I'm making this as a model. There's every potential that you could do this as just an illustration, a drawing. You could literally do a lightning effect into your picture. You know, that is a thing. So well, that was a bit crazy, isn't it? Clearly not real. It certainly makes you want to click on it, but God, if that was real, there'd be some serious kind of fear of God going on. Here's an interesting one, because this kind of almost comes down like two hands coming together. You don't have to prove you're working on this, by the way. You don't have to show your mood boards, and you know, I mean, if you want to share your mood boards and whatever else, then feel free to post them into the Discord group. No issues with it whatsoever. It's just not I'm not saying it's a requirement, if that makes sense. I don't want to put too many kind of like hard and fast rules on. This is about being creative and kind of getting your brain working. Okay, so there's my mood board. Let's get some Timid. I mean, that's pretty weak, isn't it? Timid's not. Let's go for Bashful. Not the dwarf. Bloody hell, I forgot that was a thing. So anime poses might be a good point of reference here. A lot of these Bashful ones just seem to look either sad or upset in some way. They don't seem to really kind of come across as you want them to. Annoyingly, the features of the dwarf might actually end up like here. I think C1 I think is probably a good approximation of what we're after. So we've got to remember with miniatures, again, it's more about the like the physical side of things. You've got no personality to convey. You've got no words or kind of noises to kind of accentuate the thing you're trying to get across. All got to be done with imagery. And I know there's a lot of people out there who kind of get a bit what's the word? They get a bit worked up when they see kind of like female miniatures with the kind of quote unquote over sexualized proportions. And the reality of it is, when you're sculpting a miniature, you're viewing this thing from 3 feet away, 2 feet away, on a tabletop, and you want the form to be readable. You need to be able to kind of see what you're dealing with. And if you keep to very realistic proportions, sometimes it's quite difficult to kind of see that. You end up having to exaggerate everything in miniature, and obviously the problem then is when you do someone who is a bit more curvy and a bit more, I'm going to use the word feminine, but you know what I'm saying. Someone who's got that more of that posture, got more of that kind of body composition, and then you've exaggerated it. It kind of can come across as over the top, but it's often necessary to get that to convey across properly. That makes sense. So here, when we're looking at a Bashful expression, we're looking for the most extreme version of Bashful. We don't want to go too subtle, because if you go too subtle, it's going to end up being painted in, and it's going to be implied in the sculpt rather than kind of explicit. And if you want it to be explicit, you've got to go exaggerated. So these ones where it's just like, you know, red faces and things like that. If you're colouring it, by all means go for it, but when we're doing a sculpt, we need something that is a lot more obvious to the viewer. Have we got any more useful references? Let's go for a Bashful body pose. Let's see if anything crops up. So there we go, something like that could do the job. Let's just copy that one. Let's have that one. It's not just about the facial expression, it's about the entire... This is assuming, of course, that I'm doing a humanoid character, which I haven't even decided on that yet. So I may not do... I might do humanoid, I might not. So this one, arm across, holding your arm there, that kind of, in an over the top exaggerated way, kind of deals with what we're trying to do. Does that do it? No. Pose that says bashful. I mean, this pose is cropping up again and again. Let's try a timid body pose. Let's see if that crops up anything else that's we've got the same again. We've got this pose is a thing apparently. That one kind of does it. Oh, and if you're doing artwork, by the way, and you haven't tried it yet, Clip Studio is brilliant. Clip Studio is a great drawing package. If you don't want to spend a load of money on a Photoshop subscription to be able to do drawing on, or an Adobe sub, then you can actually buy Clip Studio as a one-off purchase. I think it's about 20 quid or something like that. It's not even that expensive, and it's a really good drawing package. Right, here we go, here's another one. The other thing is, well, when I'm thinking about bashful and timid, I'm kind of also thinking like cute. Like cute falls into the same kind of ballpark. So these kind of like chibi type proportions on this one kind of work. Right, now do I want to open up a world of costume design and stuff like that as well, or do we just go for... don't know. Right, so I've spent about almost an hour doing this now, pulling together reference and talking through the competition. I think it's, I say competition, the challenge. I think it's time to actually just get a bit of sculpting done, because you can sit here doing this all day and procrastinate on it. Don't do that. But force yourself, give yourself a time limit to gather your reference. After your time limit's up, be disciplined and knock it on the head. So you've got you allow yourself time and break it up properly. What you don't want to be doing is falling into that trap of scrolling. Oh, I've done nothing and the day's finished. Okay. Right, so human is in the thing. Now I've linked this model in the challenge. If you want to download this base mesh that I've made, the ruler and the base and everything else, we've got a 25mm base, we've got a 100mm ruler, and a 32mm scaled man. So this is 32mm from the bottom of the foot to the eye line. So no matter what you how you pose this guy now, how much you crunch him down into a ball, because we use this 100mm ruler as our export reference, whatever pose this guy's in, this model is always going to come out correctly scaled. You haven't got to try and figure it out later or anything like that. The base is useful for obviously when we print models and we stick them onto a base. 25mm is the base we're going to be using. We don't want to be overshooting that 25mm kind of bounding space where the feet don't actually fit on the base. Do I want to start with a human male body, or do we do something else? This is where I'm stumped a little bit now. This initial decision is critical. I either sculpt onto this human body, or we create something different and we kind of make a character. Let's make a character. Let's push him to one side. Okay. I'm going to keep him in the scene because I want a reference. Just a size reference, a scale reference. Oops. We're going to push him right off to the side. Okay, let's start with appending a sphere. Now, in relation to a human, I want this to be smaller, so I'm going to say that's the height I'm going to go with. Shoulder heights for human. I'm going to use clay build-up, move tools, various different things to just try and. Oh, actually, so let me just get that on there. Okay, this tab, if you're wondering, by the way, is if you've got models with a slot base. Don't tend to see it anymore so much because old school metal models always used to be produced with a little tab in the bottom used to come on, but now everyone's using like scenic bases and whatever. If you've never seen a model with a base on the bottom, then obviously you're going to be quite new to the hobby, or relatively in like the last few years or whatever. If you go back 10 to 15 years, almost everything was packaged with a slot base before 3D printing and whatnot. Right, so let's just delete that tab. Come back to my little to my base. I'm just going to centre that and then pull it back down to the bottom. Oh, balls. About there, yeah. Right, so we're going to do this this creature. Let's use the form of a bee to begin with. Let's hide that. So with my masking tool on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of do. Oh, let's put symmetry on first. I want this big kind of like hunched back. We're going to do like a big hairy kind of like collar type thing going on. I'm going to come down into the thing and I'm going to do like a little cluster of little bee legs coming out of here, so it's going to be like a bee-like creature. I'm going to kind of use the bee's face. I'm not going to give you wings. I'm going to give the bee a face that is a little bit like a bee's head. But then when we come to texturing, I'm going to use more of the mushroom elements. So we'll still use some of the fur that you get on a bee, but then we're going to kind of use some of these mushroom gills. We're going to use mushroom like scales, and do something a little bit less bee-like. Okay. Alexa, turn off the office heater.
Okay.
Sorry if I've just triggered your device, guys. It's just a form here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really rough this in, because again, if I was going to finish this, if I'm going to finish this as a character, then I'm going to come back and refine some of these bits, but initially I just need to get some actual form and shape into it. So I'm going to do a little furry collar coming around the back here. Sculpting fur. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally just do these kind of like fat chunky lines. If you're going to do fur on anything, try this technique, because it's more organic than your kind of your brushes, what they call them, the alpha brushes, which always have this kind of real kind of samey look about them. I don't want to be smoothing out these like little striations on this at the moment. I want to kind of keep them where they are. So I'm going to use the snake hook. So what I've done is I've created some of these. Ideally, I'm not going to do it right now. I will do some of it, but I'm not going to do it now because of time constraints. I would be turning, if I'm sculpting this as a commercial figure, I'm turning symmetry off at this point, because these, as you can see, it already starts to look a little bit samey, a little bit kind of formulaic at the moment. So when you're doing like fur bits, it's better to sculpt the masses symmetrically by all means, but once you start getting into like detailing, get that symmetry turned off. It'll take you twice as long to do it, but the results will be like 5 times as good. So you know, it's worth the extra little bit of effort to get it looking good. Let's just do a little segmented back. Let's carve away some of this. Oh, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? Here we go. Here's my brain kicking in with an idea. Just as I'm doing this now. This is what happens when you I was doing a one-to-one lesson yesterday, and one of the bits of advice I gave was don't spend too long kind of like trying to get ideas down on the page. The more time you spend on any of these bits, the more you're going to get married to the kind of the work you put in and the effort and stuff, which is fine. However, there comes a point when you've got to kind of realise that you're struggling with it because it's a bad design, or you've done something wrong in the way you've approached it and the way you've designed it. Now, I do this all the time when I'm dynamically kind of designing stuff. You follow an idea, you get to a point, and then you go, do you know what, I can't even make this work if I tried. And the sooner you realise it, the better. But the key thing is that you need to be able to throw it away, and literally just chuck any progress you've made on it, because if you don't, what happens is you end up pursuing it, you end up down like some rabbit hole trying to make stuff work that really just it's never going to happen. Do you know what I mean? And if you can't make it work, then you need to you need to come up with a different idea and try something different. Now it might be you do the same thing, but you're going to approach it differently. That sometimes does work, but equally that's not always going to be the case. So sometimes you're going to have to just completely try a new idea. And this could be one of those times. I could be trying to do this and then it's going to turn out to be awful. But until I try it, I don't know. So what I want to do is I want to get the idea down as fast as possible. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to carve some lines using Dam Standard. I'm going to go over these. Now these have got the lazy mouse on, so the line is naturally going to taper out. So if I keep the stroke light, it's going to kind of naturally feather out from a kind of from a dense, not a dense line, from a heavy line to a light line. And what I want is that exact thing to happen. I want the heavier bits at the top up here, and I want them to come down and taper away to nothing. Now what I can also do is once they've hit the bottom, I can run smoothing over it, and that will help to blend the bottom bits back in. So this isn't going to be a perfect sculpt. This is going to be like a couple of hours worth of kind of sketching, I suppose. Okay, I actually quite like this. I don't know where this kind of. It's only happened because I've carved into the top part from the shape I had, but I do quite like it as the kind of the bottom of the model. It doesn't really kind of come into anything though. There's not really any kind of any influence for it. What I can do is, I mean, bees have the stingers and stuff, so I could bring this down here. Let's take this back. I mean, this is going to look ropey on a humanoid type character. It's going to look like a pointy wang, isn't it? So it's maybe not going to be an ideal design, but. Let me just save this before I go too far. February. Okay, so. Right, let's take this here. And what I'm going to do is we're going to go for, from here, I'm just going to run, I mean, let's call them armour lines or armour panel lines or something like that. I'm going to use like a lightning bolt kind of pattern. Just increase that brush size around there. I'm going to do this, most of this model I'm going to sculpt in as close to a single piece as I can manage, and I'm going to use Sculptress Pro mode to make sure it kind of, I haven't got to faff around doing retopology or dynameshing it repeatedly or whatever. That's going to help me to kind of keep it quick. I mean, the lightning here, it also has this kind of like veining kind of look. I mean, if you're doing bees, you could literally put lightning bolts on the wings, use the lightning bolt pattern as wings on the guy, and that would be pretty cool actually. Oops, that's me minimising it. And remember, everything I'm doing here is designed to be printed at 32mm scale. So you don't want to go too deep and in depth with your kind of texturing and stuff like that, because once we get this printed at 32mm scale, anything that's like too small and microscopic or whatever, like, is going to be lost. So that eye detail, that eye pattern we were talking about, you're not going to see that. So you don't want to be sculpting that in unless you go in for, like, you know, unless you make this into some kind of like behemoth type creature. You are not going to see all those little discs on the eyes. It's got to be big if you're going to see that. Smooth out some of the facets and faces I can see here. Let's pull a few irregular, keep him looking organic. Let's pull a few kind of like, just a few like irregular patterns and shapes out of this piece here. Now I could do this mushroom gilling effect here as well, to be fair. Is it going to be too much if I do? Maybe. Am I going to do it anyway? Probably. But again, it's going to take me a couple of seconds to do it. If it looks bad, or I think it's too much, or I just don't like it for whatever reason, I can always come back in and just get rid. So it's not the end of the world. I'm going to try and unsculpt rather than undo in this. I'd encourage you to do the same. Like, undoing your work is going to give you get out of jail free card to make mistakes, but it's going to make you what do you call it? The minute you get one that kind of can't be undone because it's deleted your undo history or something else has happened, then you're in a panic state because you can't fix it. You can get used to sculpting out the mistakes and these things you don't want to keep, then you're going to be in a much better position to handle the kind of crap that ZBrush can throw at you, because it can, and it does it often. Always save regularly and don't leave it to chance. You do something and you think, oh, I like that, that's your cue to save. Get a quick button on it, get your Control and S going. You see an autosave happening, just let it go. Don't try and cancel it and stop it from happening, because the times I've done that and then I've regretted it because I've had an instantaneous crash when I wasn't expecting anything. I wasn't doing anything kind of, you know, I wasn't doing anything challenging or taxing for ZBrush. I was just doing something, you know, just moving a model maybe. All of a sudden it crashes and it goes and you're like, what the hell? Go back to my quick saves, and I've cancelled the last quick save, and the last one is like 45 minutes earlier, and I've just lost 45 minutes worth of work. Now even that, I mean, I'm at a point now where I can kind of go, alright, I know what I've just done in the last 45 minutes. Hey Dennis! Dude, you change your username more than you're changing your socks, aren't you? Too many people questioning how to pronounce it and stuff. They use Dennis Designs as use Dennis Designs somewhere. Why don't you stick with that one? Kind of does what it says on the tin. So while we're doing all this, do you know what? I'm going to turn this into these tufty bits that we've got on there. Let's mask it first. Let's do it masked. We'll do some layers here of this like mushroom kind of gilling, not gilling, what do you call it? Like mushroom fur? Mushroom. If anybody has technical terms for these things, I'm sure there are technical terms. I am absolutely in the dark about them. I have no idea. If you know what these bits are supposed to be called, please feel free to enlighten me. Fair play, mate. Fair play. You going to join in this challenge this month, mate? Bit of a comfort zone, challenging kind of sculpting. This is not my usual thing by any means, but it's an interesting challenge. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do that now. I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to use the move tool. I'm going to come in, and I'm just going to come low down. I'm just going to hold Alt, and I'm just going to click on it, and I'm just going to pull away from the model. And what that does is it moves on a tangent to the normals. So the surface that you've got basically is going to pull straight out from. So it's like an extrusion, but it's manually extruding everything rather than using an extrude function. Right, so there's my first bit of gill. Let's do a second look pass of that. We'll do another layer. Right, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to use my smoothing brush with a small size brush. With my Sculptures Pro mode. Now you can't see anything happening here, but I promise you it is. Let me just come in and show you. So this was the mesh I was dealing with before, and as I come in now, you can see the larger mesh is being replaced with a smaller dense mesh. And the smaller I make this, the more polys it's adding to the area. So when I want these little smooth edges to happen, they're going to happen much better when I've got this like dense topology in there. Otherwise I'm going to get, like you can see here, I've got some like pixelated edges, I've got that kind of stuff going on. The move tool doesn't use dynamic topology, the snake hook does. Snake hook uses it, but the move tool doesn't. So I'm just going to put this in here. I should see it when I'm working anyway, so we should see along this kind of line. I should get, if I go too high I'm going to get pixelation. If I stay low it's going to be kind of like, you know, pretty respectable. And I want to kind of mask off enough that I can use it. So I'm going to invert the mask in a minute, and then this bit's going to get pulled out like the bit above, and then we're going to go back in with some asymmetry and sculpting some basic detailing. If you've just joined in, by the way, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm making this up on the fly. This is on the fly, or on the bee. Sorry, crap puns. The brief and the prompts I'm using are in the chat. They're the challenge I'm running for this month. There's no prizes or anything for it. It's just a kind of a personal challenge to help you improve kind of your creativity, your sculpting ability, your design ability. If you want to do this as a drawing, by the way, feel free to draw it as a character design kind of task. It doesn't have to be sculpted. Whatever your chosen medium, you can do it in green stuff as well if you want to. So Martin, if you're watching, Grace is there. You guys want to do this, then you know, feel free. Brendan over on Facebook, thanks for the follow. So yeah, so this is just like me spitballing, basically trying to come up with an idea using these prompts, and trying to generate something that is passable. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not, the intention isn't to create the most, like, you know, amazing Kickstarter mini that's going to go to market or anything else. This is literally me just saying, right, I want to try something different. I am going to Dynamesh this now, so I'm just going to make sure I've got everything separately grouped. I'm going to auto group. I'm just going to put polish on, groups. I'm going to bump the resolution up to about 440 and see how it looks. Okay, quite happy with that. Hasn't changed too much. So I'm going to use my orb cracks again. I'm going to boost the Z intensity. I'm going to turn the symmetry off now. These little, I keep wanting to call them gills, but I know they're not. They're fins maybe or something like that, perhaps. I don't know. Oh, I've got the wrong tool there. So I'm going to brush size down, Z intensity up. I'm just going to put a few asymmetrical kind of like marks in here. This is too symmetrical at the moment, so I don't want it to be symmetrical. That's not the point. I'm going to turn that off. Sorry, the Sculptress Pro mode. It's doing something weird. In fact, I'm going to leave it on, but I'm just going to mask off just that to work on. Just save what I'm doing. Just because I've just given a talk on saving the file and saving it regularly, and I've realised I haven't done it myself. So I just want to come in here. We're going to just add some of these little lines in. A few little. Do you know, actually, let's turn lazy mouse off. It works better with lazy mouse off. There we go. So what do we call this? Mushroom? It's not gills. It's not fins. Tatty frills. I don't know. Anybody wants to look it up and chuck me an answer? Appreciate it. So even starting with something that is symmetrical, we can come back in and we can add these little asymmetrical details that will help to make the whole thing less symmetrical. The one thing I have noticed that I do, I don't know if you guys are going to fall foul of this too. I sculpt thing and then I'm kind of looking at patterns while I'm sculpting. So I'm kind of going, oh, let's do one of them there, then we'll leave a few, and then we'll do another one here, and blah 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 blah. And I can rotate it round and I can sculpt things on this side. I find myself repeating without even realising I'm doing it. I'm placing things in kind of almost the same place as I have done on the other side. But even that is not too bad because the symmetry is broken. It's not the same. So yeah, it is worth turning symmetry off just to make things a bit more interesting. Because nature's not symmetrical either, is it? So when you're doing something organic, you really should be turning it off more than not. There we go. So we've got some like weird gilly bits down here. Let's come back to that and we'll just roll these up to the top. These bits now, I'm just going to use the H polish brush to just feather that back in and blend it. I want to keep the solid ridge on that side, so I'm not going to touch the outside of the model. I want it to come straight into the inside bit. Okay, now this bottom bit, which I was thinking of as being a bee's arse, and again, I forget the actual biological technical term for that, but you know what I'm talking about. Also has the potential to be a mushroom. So I suppose my question then is, do I do the old let me just change something here a minute. Just going to bring the sides in a touch with symmetry on. So how are you keeping anyway, Dennis? Been busy? Right, what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to do a quick, let's do a quick mark here just to denote where these limbs connect. I'll save again. I think I'm going to go for some kind of, we've got the stripes on the B, haven't we? Oops. So let's do some more organic kind of stripes. Ah, British tanks, eh? How do you find printing tanks? Are they problematic? I know a lot of people struggle to get them without the ridge line. Oh, you use FDM anyway, don't you? So I know a lot of people do the tanks in resin, and then they struggle to kind of print it without like layer lines and things. And I think it's because of the suction forces on the printer, because like there's such large areas. Go out. And then probably need another little line down here somewhere, don't I? This is our B stripes coming into pattern. So we've got this. I didn't even realise I'd done it, but by putting these little gill type, I'm going to keep calling them gills. They're not gills, but you know, by putting these in, what I've actually done is I've created like stripes down the back. So now this piece here, which I've added in, which was going to be a mushroom, I can continue this, and I can put more of these kind of bits in there. I can layer this up, and we can put some of this like mushroom texture in that we had from like this kind of mushroom texture, or even a bit of this, bit of morel stuff. Put some of those bits in, and it's going to become quite a nice little mushroom bee hybrid type thing. I did say at the beginning actually that the intention was not to do a kind of a creature that is a bee or a creature that is a mushroom. For me, this is just how it's ended up going. For you, it might end up doing the same, it may end up going different. You might be able to kind of employ a little bit more creative application. Maybe decide like, let me just show you one of the others actually that Daniel Starling has done in the group. He's the first person who's actually put something in there. So Dan's done this sketch here, so he's come up with this idea that he wants to do obviously a female kind of like sci-fi type character with like goggles on her hair. She's got this whip-like tail, which ponytail, sorry, which kind of looks and feels like it's inspired by a paintbrush to me. It's got a kind of nice flowing swipe as well, so it's got that kind of like organic brush stroke kind of feel about it. We've got like a hammer, which you can kind of see it's got the dome of a mushroom and all this kind of stuff, so there's an element of mushroom included in here. But then we've got like this kind of, I'm going to call it a skirt, but it's emulating bee wings. We've got the furry collar, which again comes off a bee, which I've used as well. And So where I'm taking this kind of like more creaturey type thing, he's obviously gone more humanoid and he's using the inspiration for the designs. So this piece here, the bit on the back of the hand, I expect is going to be some kind of like maybe stinger, maybe a shield of sorts. There is already, in fact let's look at the one he's worked on a bit more advanced. So he's removed the stinger thing actually, so that one's gone. The hair has still got that kind of like, it's like a paintbrush with a sting on the end, which is a nice touch. Then we got this the mushroom hammer with like the gills and this kind of like organic, like wooden shaft kind of thing. I'll say the furry collar, the honeycomb patterns coming in here as well. So we've got a nice little bit of kind of a coming back to the bee. The goggles kind of have this bee vibe about them again. Possibly a little bit round. I think if I was going for bee there, I think I'd made them a bit more kind of like egg shaped, but they still kind of do that, you know, they still give that kind of that vibe. So yes, he's definitely on track here for doing something lovely. I can't wait to, if he gets around to finish it, I'd love to see it finish. But what he's done here already is a really nice kind of a nice bit of a kind of a unique character. So nobody else has put anything into the group yet. This is the first one to go in. So I'll be throwing mine in there today after this, along with the video as well, so we can kind of, you know, keep a bit of momentum, give people a little bit of inspiration. Hopefully, like seeing more people doing the challenge will kind of lead to more people wanting to do the challenge. But I think it's important that we've, and I've said this a couple of times on the stream already, we've been having a bit of a chat about it off stream on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page. I posted a video with will.i.am, and he's basically saying that the amount of money that people put into improving artificial intelligence, there's nowhere near that level of cash being invested into improving human intelligence, which sounds like a bit of a silly thing to say and kind of compare the two. Artificial intelligence is always going to be better than human intelligence. What we've got to be careful of is that we don't become reliant upon it and lose the skills to think critically, to create art, all the various other things that AI is there for. If we use it as a tool, we can coexist with it. But it's already been proven, there's been experiments doing which frankly are terrifying, that AI can actually lie to you. It's been programmed to lie. In this specific experiment, like they've programmed an AI that will lie to you, but more worryingly, it is able to know how its lies are detected and mask them. And aside from that, it doesn't always give you factual information anyway. Sometimes what AI gives you is nonsense and is just wrong, because it is scouring the internet, and there's so much BS and crap on the internet that, like, you know, you're kind of diluting the information pool a little bit with nonsense. So yeah, I want to try and kind of encourage people to kind of maintain those faculties for critical thinking, for like spontaneous design and creativity, and like things like this then will allow you to kind of flex your creative muscles basically and do things without needing to rely on AI. So it's not to say don't use AI. It's not, you know, there are issues with it, there are dramas with it. I'm not even going to go into all of that. But if you're a creative and you want to kind of create stuff, there's only one way you're going to do it, really, with any sense of satisfaction, and that's the good old brain power way. And I don't want to see people lose that and kind of not be able to, you know, keep up with the likes of Midjourney and Leonardo and Da Vinci or whatever it's called, and ChatGPT and all of those other kind of like AI things that are out there. Supplement your own skills, but don't replace them. You've seen how personal interactions have been affected over the years as well. So where once upon a time you'd need information, you'd go and talk to a friend, and you'd chew the fat, and you'd hypothesize and speculate as to the answer to a question that you didn't know. You'd discuss it, you'd argue over it, you'd become better friends over the process, or you'd fall out and make up maybe later or whatever. But there was human interaction all the way through, and now it's let's just ask Google, and that interaction with your friend gets reduced to a WhatsApp message or a Facebook post, or a like on Facebook. You're not even speaking to them. You're just ticking a box, aren't you? Pressing a button. It looks like a thumb. This is my attempt to get people to engage with each other, to engage with the community. And also to flex your creative muscles and prove to yourself that you can still create something cool. And it might be crap. The first one might be bad. When you do this the first time, it might kind of like, you haven't got your brain in the right frame of mind. You're not kind of geared up for this kind of thinking. But don't give up on it. Persevere. No matter how bad you think it is, crack on through it, and the next one you'll get a little bit better, and one after that a little bit better again, and that's going to keep happening until you're finally kind of at a point where you're happy with what you're putting out, and you've progressed and you've improved as an artist, as a sculptor, or whatever it is you're doing. This one I forgot to turn symmetry on with, so I've just done this whole thing asymmetrically, which is going to take me longer. But again, it's one other thing I would say as well. These little notches I'm cutting in here. If I was doing an army of these guys, I would potentially leave those notches off at this stage for my template model, and then I would pose the models, get them all into whatever kind of end pose I wanted, and then go back in and add this detailing per miniature afterwards. And that way every single miniature gets its own unique appearance and look. You don't have to do that, but everything does start to look a little bit kind of cloned, and you can always tell when you see like the Kickstarters and people have made an army. You can see where they've copied and pasted the same thing over and over and over again, and reposed and go, oh, here you go, you get 50 miniatures in this thing, and actually it's one miniature reposed into 50 different poses. I've seen quite a few of them over the years. Easy to do, it's easy to crank out numbers. People perceive value because they've got a large number of things, but actually on the face of it, you've got one thing 20 or 30 different times. If you're happy with that, fair enough, but if you're more discerning and you want the variety on a wider appeal, then cover all bases and give them the unique ones. So I imagine this would still be like black and yellow, or yellow and brown kind of thing. Still have the same coloration that we'd see on a bumblebee. Perhaps there'd be a little bit of red creeping in from the mushrooms, but or maybe it starts red and moves to brown, or starts yellow and moves into or maybe we lose the yellow altogether and we just stick with the red. Okay, we're coming on to arms now. So I'm doing some insectoid type stuff with Adam as part of his coaching. He's been doing very, very well with it. So these kind of things are fresh in my head at the moment. I'll smooth out this limb and create a little ridge around the outside. I'm going to turn laser mouse back on, reduce my Z intensity down. Let's make the top a bit larger. I appear to have some floaty artifacts somewhere around here, but we'll deal with them later. They must have come in from the body when I was. Ah, you turbag. Okay, so what I've done, for those of you observant enough, I have accidentally sculpted these without symmetry. So I'm just going to separate them off, mirror them well, put them back. We're going to turn symmetry back on. So I'll leave them off for now. It makes it easier to kind of deal with them. But okay, so might put some like little chitinous shoulder pads over the top of this and just mask this bit of joint afterwards, but let's get some more of the face done first. Andrew over on Facebook, good morning to you. Hope you're keeping well. Good afternoon now, isn't it? Right, he's getting a bit big. It's definitely getting a bit big. Now I will say as well, I'm also still trying to figure out how I'm going to get this timid and bashful kind of like thing into this, Because timid and bashful and swinging a weapon kind of don't go great together. So I'm going to have to omit one of the two. I feel like timid and bashful is the more interesting one to include. Everyone does weapon swinging, don't they? So. Just going to shrink him down a touch. He's a bit too big at the moment. Ah. I feel like that's a decent size for him, to be fair. Let's stick with that. Right, on his arse, let's do some let's do some of these like little toadstool spots. Now asymmetry for definite on doing these. Symmetry will just kill this look. Hey you nerd, how you doing? Come to join the challenge? You up for it? Oh, nice. I don't think I've seen squig taco trick. That sounds really interesting. You posted it online somewhere? Ah, right, cool. What do you think? Are you up for joining this this sculpting challenge I'm running this month? Doesn't have to be sculpting, it can be drawing as well. The main goal is to just challenge your creativity a little bit, really. I'm going to reduce my draw size down. I'm going to go in some of these. I want to make them less regular. They don't want to be kind of like, you know, circles. Some can. But when there's too many like circular patterns there, that's starting to look a bit unnatural then. So basically, I don't even know what it is. So let me just quickly run you back through what we're doing. I've picked up, I had a few kind of questions and inquiries about running some sculpting challenges. So I decided I was going to kind of like create a challenge essentially. So every month what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a challenge where I'm going to give you a load of prompts. So the prompts for this month's one, it's on the Discord server. Right down the bottom, I've got sculpting challenges. We've got February 2024. So there's some rules and some information. It's based on a book called Fantasy Genesis by Chuck Lukex, he's an artist who he does a lot of stuff for like Magic the Gathering and other trading card games. Very good artist. Love his work. And basically in this book, if you ever get creative block, what he's got is a whole list of tables at the back. The whole book is about it anyway, but there's a whole list of tables at the back where but it's like a dice game. So you roll your d20s, you roll your d8s, d4s, d6s, whatever, and you generate a list of prompts. And the idea being that what you do is you take those prompts and you get over a creative block by thinking outside the box and trying to combine as many of them as possible into a kind of a single concept, a single character or single creature. So the prompts I've generated for this one are Bee and Wasp, Mushroom, Timid and Bashful, Swinging a Weapon, Electric Bolts, and a Pen and Paintbrush. So the idea being that rather than just going, I'm going to create a bee man with a mushroom shield, swinging a kind of a mushroom hammer that has got a power pack on it and it's like shooting out lightning bolts or whatever. Yeah. Rather than going necessarily, and I realise I have done a kind of a mushroom bee hybrid creature, but like that's not necessarily the only way to approach it. You can see Dan Starling's done a character that he's made, and he's used a human female as a kind of a basis, and there's some bee elements in here. We've got the honeycomb, we've got like the wing type pattern, we've got like the paintbrush I think is coming into like the hair ponytail, we've got a stinger on the end, we've got like a little furry collar and the goggles that come back to the bee, and then we've got like this mushroom hammer up here and stuff. So there's different ways you can approach it. The point of it is, yeah, it's cool, isn't it? The point of this challenge is it's not even to come up with a finished figure or a finished drawing or anything else. It's just to sit down and kind of exercise your brain muscles and your creativity and kind of say, right, how will I approach this? And I've put this is me doing it today. So I spent about an hour pulling together a kind of a board on Canva. We've got a whiteboard of different things that I can use as influences. So I've had a little bit of a peruse and look through, save some images that I thought might be useful, and then basically from here on out, see where it kind of takes you, and just make something. So I'm only going to be doing this till about maybe 2 o'clock at the latest. So you don't even have to do it. It's 3D. You could do it in putty. You could do it in plasticine, Play-Doh. You can blue tack if you want. You know what I mean? Or just do it pen and paper or on your tablet or whatever it is. The medium isn't important. It's the exercise of kind of coming up with the character. So we're saying there's so much AI out there now, and I think the default is going to become people are going to use AI. Hey, Suraf, how you doing? People are going to use AI to basically go and create an idea for them to kind of work with, and AI is going to be doing that critical thinking, and then we're going to lose the ability in time to even to do that. You rely on the computers too much. Like the art of conversation is dying a death because people have got mobile phones and WhatsApp and Facebook and stuff. You don't need to speak to your friends. You just wait for them to post something on Facebook and then tick a little thumbs up to say I've liked the post, and that's your interactions done. Do you know what I mean? So you're going to lose these critical abilities in time if you rely too much on the computers and the AI to do it all for you. So I just want to kind of give people a means to kind of flex those muscles that they don't get to use very often, or you get stuck in a rut, don't you, and you end up doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And this kind of goes, forget what you normally do. Here's something a little bit different for you to approach. Go at it, basically. See what you do. See how it works out. How are you, Shurav? Or Surav? Sorry. So yes, I'm just putting these little mushroom spots on the arse of the creature. Gonna invert that now and just inflate them out a little bit. So now we've got this little toadstool-y type patterning and element going on. We've got like little mushroom fins, mushroom gills. got little furry shoulders for the old bee. I'm going to turn my I'm going to share it on the page. So anybody who takes part in the challenge will have access to the files. So you'll be able to kind of like just get this and print it and do what you want. Or I might put the ZBrush file up as well. But I'm trying to do it without using any kind of like prefabricated bits this time. So normally, if you see me sculpting, usually I'll go into my library and I'll pull bits out. I'm trying to do this one without actually kind of defaulting to that. Try and sculpt some new assets basically. Oh, the goblin. Do you know, I meant to ask you about that ages ago. I was going to see if you wanted to do it. Say goblin. It's kind of a goblin, isn't it? It's like a little, almost like goblin merfolk or something, isn't it? Like, that's what it reminds me of anyway. With the kind of the ears. Now usually this bit here, I'll sculpt this now, and then I'm going to end up probably coming back in and doing a little bit of an alteration to this at some point when I come to do the pose, if I get as far as posing it. I need to pose it to be able to kind of tick Bashful off the box. You can't make a bug look bashful, do you know? Oh, is it bat ears? Is that what it is? I remember there's something funky about the ears that were like, they reminded me of like a merman or something. Little fishman ears. How did the bat ears come about, by the way? It's not a typical kind of design choice for a goblin, is it? Is there a significance to them? Or? So this is all, this fur is just all clay build up, snake hook, and then off into the realms of orb cracks. So do a bit of texturing and detailing. The important thing when you're doing these kind of fur, by the way, is try not to cross over yourself. Like fill in the space as much as you can, but try not to like cross lines. And invert some as well. Don't do everything in a positive or sorry, don't do everything in either exclusively positive or negative like format, because it just looks weird if you do that. So the original character was some descent into Avernus campaign. She kept sticking her fingers into demon Ichor and mutating herself. First time her ears turned into wings, second time her head doubled in size like a Funko Pop. Oh, I love it. But if you're playing a goblin, gotta be done. So I love these kind of like unusual and quirky kind of characters, and you tend to get the better ones when people have used them and they've played them, and you know, stuff's happened. I remember one of my mates, he was playing as a I can't remember what his character was now. I want to say it was like a gnome bard, deep gnome bard or something like that. But he ended up basically ended up with like a mechanical body. Because he kept getting like injured and like rushing into fights and things, and I think in the end he ended up falling. I sculpted him a character with a bloody mechanical body, made the model for him, And then I gave it to him, and then the following week, his character fell into some kind of like mad kind of acid lake and died. Died of permadeath. I was like, for God's sake, I've just sculpted that bloody model for you. I say I sculpted it. I made it on Hero Forge, I didn't sculpt it. I did paint the whole thing for him. Who doesn't like to befriend and release demons? That's how we end up with quasit familiars and all that kind of stuff, isn't it? Did you make friends with Jezebel? And Lucinda. Right, hair done. Save. So what, a bottomless bag of glitter that she thought was plague powder. Oops, what happened there? I know I said you wouldn't see this, but do as I say, not do as I do. Gotta be worth trying, hasn't it? I think it looks too cool to leave off. If you've got like a 12K printer, you might get this bit of detail into it. You might get it with an 8K, to be fair. There's a good chance of it showing up at least a tiny bit on a 4K. Cheers, nerd. I'm enjoying it, to be honest. It's I say it's not my usual kind of characters, is it? And the I've been doing a lot of terrain lately as well, so I just wanted a little bit of something to keep me fresh. I've got my vampires I've got to kind of get finished off and released, and whatever else I've been working on. So that's, you know, that's a nice little side project, but this is it's challenging me in different ways, this is, which, you know, I'm appreciating. I'm going to run out of polygroups in a minute, you know, there's going to be no colours left. Oops, that wasn't intentional. Yeah, I feel like these would make a nice little D&D bad guy, wouldn't they? A little D&D, not even bad guy necessarily, just like an encounter, like a little race to encounter in like the Fae maybe, or something like that. Let's do a little morel type headpiece. Let's keep that mushroom theme going. Get it on the screen so I can see it again. That thing. Odd structure, the morel. Again, I apologise to anyone who's got that trypophobia or trypophobia or whatever it's called, the fear of holes, or things with holes. Because a morel mushroom is not going to be your friend. Brilliant, cheers nerd. I say ping them over to me on Discord and we'll get them sorted. I know you've got your avatar's got your you've got it on like your Twitch channel, haven't you, and everything. And I know it's on your Discord handle, but yeah, if you've got any larger reference images, then that'd be cool. Did you draw it yourself, by the way? Just one of your own pieces? There's a little bit of a morel head. Oh, nice. What shall I do for the mouth? I feel like the standard mandibles is going to be a little bit too B like, too B much, too much B influence in the design. Oh, I know what I'm going to do though. I'm saying about bees having these nice little antenna. I've got to be careful here to make sure that these stay castable, or printable rather. Make it too long. I'm going to go for a little bit of I feel like I'm going to get a crash in a minute because I'm clicking on and off things quite rapidly, and I feel like that's often a precursor to it crashing out. So the morel on the head is just lost. I might as well delete that and remove it because it's verging on pointless now. Nice idea, didn't work in practice. Not at this scale anyway. Maybe better for something like armour perhaps. If I was going to add armour to these guys. Could have done some like mushroom spots on his head instead, but so what do we think for the mouth? What should I do with the mouth? I don't want to do just a bee's mouth, because that's just too much bee in the entire concept. I might just go for the timid type thing. I probably just want it to look. I'll just give it a little mouth, just a little mouth, like a. Doesn't even need the mandibles. Do you know what I mean? I think of timid and cute kind of going hand in hand. Now these bits I'm sculpting right now, I'm already looking at these thinking they look like elongated mushrooms, and now I'm wondering, do I make them into mushroom legs? Or do we keep them as like bug legs? Or do we make them bug legs with mushroomy elements? As in, like, we can put the gills at the top here, maybe. So one part of me is thinking I'm using the same elements over and over again. Another part of me is thinking consistent shape language. I don't know which bit should win. It's a fine line sometimes. Okay, so a couple of little mushroomy patterns on the feet. Need to do something about hands. How do I do hands on this little bugger? Save it first. Of course, I just need to pause a sec. I was going to take a call. Give me a second. Right, sorry guys, couldn't avoid that one. Okay. Let's resume. Where are we at? Yeah, I'm quite pleased with this one overall so far. I might leave the legs as they are like that. I was going to give them a little bit of mushrooming pattern after I've finished, but let me give us some. It's a her now, apparently, by the way. Give us some hands. Don't know why it's a her. I think most bees are, aren't they? I'm going to go 2 fingers and a thumb, I think. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make the shape of 1 finger. And then we'll clone it for the 2nd finger, rather than trying to do too much. Okay, so we're at a point now where we're on almost 3 million polys for the whole model. Which basically means that we're going to start experiencing some unresponsiveness as far as Sculptris Pro mode goes. So I'm going to have to isolate parts to work on them if I'm going to use the Sculptris Pro. It's not a drama, you just need to be aware of it. The other thing to note as well is when you import a sphere into ZBrush using the mesh dot, almost every single sphere is going to end up with a polygon missing at the tip. For some reason, the very, very top face is not joined. So when you make them, what's going on here? Yeah, when you try and solidify them, if you're working on them before you've dynameshed, what will happen is the hole will open up at the top. So you just got to be mindful of that. That's hidden. And I'm going to take these fingers. I'm going to duplicate them and clone them. Right, so I've got a problem here. There we go. If I'd have dynameshed them, they'd have joined together. If you're working like I am, and you're using basically a single subtool for almost everything, it's not the best way of working, by the way, because this will lag your machine up if it's not optimized. But if you are doing what I'm doing, then you might find the move topological brush becomes quite useful. It's essentially allows you to work in isolation on a single polygroup without having, or single island rather, without having to isolate them and mask them off. Now when I talk about an island, I'm talking about like a single mass of polygons that's not attached to anything else. It's also quite good, so if we've got, say if we stretch this bit all the way around on itself and we bring it back to here, you can use the move topological to pick this part and move it away independently of the bit that's touching it here. It might not make a lot of sense, but basically this topology of this part of the model is treated separately to the topology of this part of the model. So even if these two parts end up bending round so they're touching, you can still independently move both tips even though they're in the same space, because you wouldn't be able to polygroup that and separate them out. So it's a very handy thing to know if you end up in that position. Let's just do the little mushroom gill bits here. Okay, what I need to do is, once I pose these, I need to blend these together and just try and just work these little gills together, kind of thing. Should be alright. This bit I am going to do with my Dynamesh on. Not Dynamesh on, sorry, the symmetry on. So sometimes I'm in the zone when I'm working and speaking coherently and actually kind of coming up with ideas clash, and you'll find I'm talking nonsense. Yeah, I only want to give myself probably another half hour on this maybe. So I want to kind of just get this detail finished off and then we'll get a pose in there quick. I'll just try and call it a day and done, because it's an exercise, it's not a product. Anybody wants to suggest a name for this this creature, then please feel free. Personally, I think she feels a bit like an Alice at the moment, but I'm thinking more in terms of what the species. Maybe Beatrice. See what I did there. Right, let's get my my Bashful image reference. Guys, give me a second. I'm just going to mute there a sec. So I've got my wife calling. Give me a second. Okay guys, that's just the wife telling me she's on her way home. Right, let's go Bashful then. So Bashful pose was something like that. So let's see if I can pull that off with this head. That's going to be interesting, isn't it? just duplicate first before I start posing, in case I really stuff it up. I can always come back to a default position then. Make sure symmetry's off. Whoa, what is going on there? Right, let me just... Right. Oh, turds, hang on. It's clearly a load of polygons sharing between things there, between objects. It's giving me all that distortion and stuff. This might not work at all, by the way. This whole bashful pose with a mushroom bee. That's might be asking a bit much. We'll see. Okay. Oh, brilliant. I'm at that point where ZBrush is absolutely nerfing my undo history. So if, this is what I was saying earlier, if you get used to unsculpting details rather than relying on the undo ability of ZBrush to correct mistakes, get used to unsculpting them, and then it's not such a drama when ZBrush does what it's just done to me. It nerfs your undo history. I've got weird floaty artifacts out here. I don't know if you can see them wafting around in front of the character. I'm now going to be calling Beatrice. Beatrice the Bashful. to make the head a little bit bigger. See, I'm not sure if she comes across as more injured than Bashful, to be honest, but I'm going to have to stop at some point. Okay, let's stop there. Just going to remove some of these horrible floating faces that are wafting around. So whatever's like left floating there, you can see the little specks on here, I don't know if you can. Invert that and then delete hidden and they're all gone now. Okay, so there she is pre-posed, sorry. Yeah, Beatrice the Bashful Mushroom Bee. Bee Shroom, or whatever we're going to call it, I don't know. Hello Kev, how we doing, matey? You just join me as I'm finishing, mate. Is that how you spell sausage down south, is it? I'm good, thanks, mate. This is my February sculpting challenge. Let's just change my render up. Bumbleshroom. Good, good name, mate. That's far better than Mushroom Bee, which is what I was going with. If I get a bit of free time, I might colour this yet. I don't know, but I probably won't. Fun-B. Not bad, but not as good as Bumbleshroom. I think Bumbleshroom's winning at the moment. Make it a bit bigger. Let's save that again. Rotate it the other way. So have you been keeping anyway, Kev? What have you been up to, mate? You peaked too soon on that, did you, man? Beatrice the Bumbleshroom, let's go with that. Bashful. Oh. What's going on there? I've ended up in drawing mode. Half done on the second medium. Which one did you tackle second, mate? I know you did the you did Lysara first. Who's the who did you tackle next? I reckon Naggled, the mage. Which one? The one with the pointy hat. Reds, pinks and purples, nice. Let's send some pics, mate. Beatrice the Bumbleshroom. Okay, so I'm just going to duplicate. Which one's just duplicated? Oh yeah, duplicate that one and then duplicate that one. Hide these two and then these two. We're getting dynamished. Okay, so there we are. So realistically what I could be doing is I could be going in here, should be really, and just doing a little bit of extra work on the joint. Do you know what, I'm just going to do that. Let's just smooth them in after the gills. That's fine. That's fine, that'll do. Do the same on the other one. There we go. let's just pre-process, and we'll put the oh, they're doing good, mate. They're doing pretty well. Kids are back at school this week, which is a blessing. A bit more work getting done. Okay, so we've got 44,000, 47,000 polys, which is perfect. We're going to go to there. We're going to set the Y to 100, which is already set because that's my default. I was going to go export to STL. Beatrice, the bumble shroom. Go. There you go, guys. She's going to be a freebie this month. I'll roll her out to anybody who's on the Patreon, and then we'll pop her in the thing, and then she'll be available for the rest of February for anybody who takes part in the challenges. Okay, save that. Right then, so before I clock off, cheers, man. You're gonna come and join in with the whole thing, Kev. You're gonna come and join in with the challenge. Do a little bit of doodling. Looks like Hayley's in the garden. I can see her on the ring cam. She's just like her. I'm just going to stick my head out the door and just say hello to her. I'll just mute you a second. Okay, just back guys. Right then, so that's it. That's the that's my attempts at the challenge mini for this month. If you want to take part in the challenge, the link is in the stream title and description or whatever else to come and join the server. So it's the Lions Tower Print Paint Play Discord server. Right at the very bottom, we've got sculpting challenges. And I said it's open to 2D art as well as 3D, and it doesn't have to be digital. It could just be clay, plasticine, putty, blue tack, whatever you want to make it in. It's more about kind of challenging your brain and getting it into modes that it doesn't normally enter. A fungal bee is certainly not something I would normally be sculpting. Mate, if you want to model in Cowmuck, you model in Cowmuck. Fill your boots, mate. But I want posters of the process. I want photographs of the process if you're doing it. So yeah, so basically the prompts I've used here were bee/wasp, mushroom, timid and bashful, swinging a weapon, electric bolts, pen and paintbrush. So for the most part, I've used mostly bee and mushroom. I attempted timid/bashful in the pose, which, if I'm honest, I'm not entirely sure how successful it is. Kind of looks a bit injured. So when you're doing something that is so anthropomorphic and like separated from a human, it's quite difficult to get that kind of range of emotion in there. So swinging a weapon I opted out of. I didn't feel it fitted with the brief, but I could have gone for swinging the weapon instead of Timid and Bashful perhaps. Electric bolts. I used a bit of an electric bolt kind of design as I was coming around. It's mostly been lost in the pose, unfortunately. There's like a little bit here. Used it as a division between body parts, just as a pattern. And then pen and paintbrush. If I'm honest, I forgot about that. Perhaps if I was giving it a... I mean, these mushrooms up here could equally have been like little ferrules with little paintbrushes on the ends, and it would have been quite a nice little hairy tuft. In fact, I kind of wish I'd done that now. Little hairy tufts coming back, which kind of had that paintbrush kind of look. That would have been quite a cool little thing, and that was doing a way to include that in, but I forgot. So I got carried away with my bumble shroom design. We've got like various aspects. We've got like the furry shoulders from a bee. We've got the bee's kind of head. I've opted out for the mandibles. Little mushroom antenna. Little mushroom type gills featuring at the kind of the intersections of joints and where panels kind of overlap and intersect. These little fins that you get underneath mushroom stalks and things as a repeated design feature coming up on legs and shoulders and stuff and body parts around the back here. And we've got these little mushroom spots that we get on like toadstools and things. Overall, it's a 32mm scale miniature. Here's a human for scale. So it's 32mm scale miniature, but he is obviously, or she is, significantly smaller. Yeah, it's a fun little sculpt. That was the point of it, I think, was just do something that's not the norm, step out of my comfort zone, create something a little bit quirky and different, and challenge the way my brain kind of interprets an instruction or a prompt. Try not to fall into like my usual kind of like routines and and things. And I feel like for the most part I think I've been pretty successful with it. In fact, I'd quite like to make a little army of these guys and have them do a little queen bee shroom and some things. Might even feature them in Crystal Collapse, who knows. So we'll see. Alright guys, I'm just going to leave you on a little update on Crystal Collapse. We're going to be launching the website really soon. If I just go to show you the website now, you can go there yourself. You can go crystalcollapse.com, crystal-collapse. The whole thing's kind of built and set up. You can even pre-order it. The pre-orders are ready and set up and everything else, so the products are there, you can buy them. Ignore the fact it's in dollars for me, I don't know why it is. We're doing it in English and German, so you can choose which edition you want, and we're doing the starter sets for the models, so you get 4 models per set. I just need to get better images here that actually show all 4 off in a square picture, but I'll do that once I've got the photographs of the models painted. Yeah, when you come in here, we've got this the About Crystal Collapse section here. Store obviously is the most important place, but the About Crystal Collapse, we've got how to play, so there's a load of information about playing the game. We've got Valyria, which Heroes of Valyria, House Bazalia, Kingdom of Vile and Kingdom of Gaisha. Just covers off some of the fluff and the background of the characters and whatnot. And I've built a little wiki on here, so you can click on the wiki, you can go into like the different characters, locations, creatures and things like that we've created. And we'll expand on this and create it and stretch it out as we add more content. So Max is working on a new faction at the moment, the Rosenberg Rebels, which are sounding badass. So I'm going to get them sculpted soon. We'll start working on them, get their profiles up and running, and get some artwork made for them. And then following that, I think we're doing Sky Pirates after that. I think it's the next faction to come. And then when we get onto, yeah, you better get painting, mate. When we get over onto the My Account section over here, one of the things you might enjoy about the game, we've got this guild ranking set up. So, welcome heroes to the Valyria Crystal Seekers Guild. As a guild member, you can view your guild ranking, your achievements and your Crystal Shard repository. So you come down, it says your current rank is, when you first sign up for an account on the website, you'll be set up as an initiate. You literally get that rank just by signing up. And then the more you interact with the website, the more you interact with, leave reviews, buy products, etc., you earn more crystal shards, and that bumps your rank up. So if you're submitting, if you're putting in comments on posts and reviews on products, you'll be earning like levels up, earning crystals, getting level up. So my current rank on here is like Wayfarer, and you'll see it's because I've got 50 crystal shards, or at least I'm on 72, so I think my next one is at 75, so I'll be a Seeker of Wonders with just 3 more crystals. So we get achievements as well. So the first achievement is Let's Play. That's when you've bought a Crystal Collapse game. If you get that one and you buy a game, you also get, because you get in the game, you also get the Varland starter pack and the Basalia starter pack. So you'll also get the Friends of Basalia achievement and the Friend of Varland achievement. If you purchase the Geisha character pack, which is the Catfolk with Tarot, you'll get the Friend of the Myra achievement as well. And there are more achievements. Leave a review on a product, comment on any post, and there'll be more around the products that you purchase, and there'll be more around the engagement on the site as we go. And you'll be glad to know we are going to be putting in discounts which will improve the higher rank you get. So if you buy loads of stuff and engage with the site loads, you give us a load of you show us a load of commitment and dedication to the game, and a load of enthusiasm for it, you'll be rewarded with discounts. So that is the plan. Potentially even at certain ranks we'll have specific models that you'll only get by earning a rank that we'll send you out as a freebie when you get there. So there's loads of stuff you can do on here to kind of engage. When we start doing the interactive story, what we'll be doing is we've got a kind of a form set up on the website where you tell us the outcome of your game, basically like a little battle report. You tell us which characters you used, who lived, who died, and then when we come to our living story in what scenario you played, and then whether your objectives were completed or not. And then when we get to our living story, we'll take those the scenarios from the living story, and we'll say, right, so in this game we've had 500 people have played it and submitted a report. Of the 500 people who played it, for 350 of them, Corrado died in the game. And if that's the case, what we'll do is we'll take that result and we'll bake that into the story going forward. So when we come to the next season of the living story and we give you the next set of campaigns, Corrado gets written out as a casualty. He gets killed off. Somebody else will come in and fill his boots. We'll get a new character included and written in, and your engagement has helped us to drive the story forwards. So we obviously want to hear from you. We'll be rewarding you better for that level of engagement than, say, commenting on the post, for example, because we want people to be playing the seasons and kind of submitting the reports. So look at the wiki at the moment. So if I go to the wiki, I know we've got a broken link on here. If I click on Crystal Collapse Wiki, it doesn't work. But if I go to Wiki Characters, we can click over here. We've got all the different characters that are in the game. There's 2 pages of them. I need to see if I can figure out how to expand this list out, because it seems silly that there's actually 2 more characters, but they've rolled onto the next page. I need to do some tinkering with this this kind of format for the whatever the template is. But we click on Tarot, for example. This is going to take us onto Tarot's page, so it gives us his name at the top. We get his story, his kind of tags that we've got, and then we come down. He's got his name. His full name is Tara Felishan Esperwind. Aliases are Pig, Elephant, Homunculus, Master. He's a Myra. He's age 46. He's male. 122 centimeters tall. 41 kilograms in weight. blue hair, black eyes. It looks a little bit like a blue elephant with big snout and tusks and a unicorn horn. Very noticeable. Occupations are Master Alchemist and Teacher. Affiliations are the Myra and the Kingdom of Geisha. Abilities, I haven't populated this bit yet, but we're going to extract the abilities from the character cards. We're going to be putting them into there, so there'll be a little bit of stats in here as well. So we'll also have, in these pages, we'll have their actual character cards, so you can download them and use them in the game. And then all of the characters are represented by a suit of cards. So in this case, he is a club. So you can only include one club per character, per party, or one of any card for that matter per party. And that's how you form your groups in the game. So you can choose from any kind of factions and whatever else. There's no limits really, but you can only have one heart, one diamond, one club, and one the other one. Heart, diamond, club, and spade. So yeah, so they're all on there. You can pop a comment in, leave a comment, and it will give you an achievement. You'll earn some crystal shards and stuff as well for them. So, and there's a little bit of background story there for a bit of background fluff. So yeah, it's all taking shape. There's loads of resources here. There's going to be even more stuff going forwards. And obviously you can go to the store and see all of the products that we've got. Anybody pre-ordering the game is going to get this guy, who's our little Hob Hunter miniature as a freebie. So you buy the model, you buy the game, you'll get this guy chucked in as a freebie. You won't be able to buy him separately. So you need to order one of these, either the English edition of the core game, or the German edition of it, or the English or German version of the deluxe edition. So the deluxe ones basically come with this swanky book box that Max has designed. So you can see it in the picture there. So can I click on that? Yeah, here we go. So it's basically like a box with a pull-out drawer, and it looks like a book. And inside you've got like a little foam section for the 8 models that come with the game. A little tray to keep your dice and your token, a couple of trays for your tokens and dice and cards and all that kind of stuff. These cards, by the way, are not representative of the cards we're going to be putting in the game. These are random art cards. I think this is the Final Fantasy deck. I think. Oh, no, actually, no, that is art that we're using in the game. We don't have these mass produced, so we're going to be including plain cards in the game. There's a possibility in the deluxe one we might be putting branded ones in, but we'll see. It's going to come down to kind of cost for mass production, I think, and how many people actually get on and pre-order the game. So this is what you get. It's not going to be in that box. This box is just a kind of an illustration, but you get your 2 factions, and these aren't the 2 factions you're going to be getting anymore. We've changed them up a little bit. You get your rule book, you get your 2 decks of cards, you get your player profiles, pile of tokens, more tokens than that, and more dice than that. But you also get like the gaming mat, this gaming mat, and some MDF elevations, which, let me just see if we've got a picture of them in here. Some more pictures in the book, and some dice, the mat. Here we go. So the MDF elevations, basically you've got these squares, 2 by 2, and then a single, and then another 2 by 2, and then a few more singles, and then you have the like the sides of them. These are the bottoms. These bits are the sides of these ones. So you have the short ones, and you basically use these and stack them up on top of each other. It's a kind of fairly quick assembly job. Tokens there, all printed on white MDF and then laser etched. They look really smart and really nice. There's your Varland starter faction. So this one will be included in the game, obviously unpainted. All 4 of these models. Beautiful they are. There's your character cards. These are the German ones, obviously. And then these are your Bizarlia characters that we're going to be giving you. So you've got Victoria, Corrado, Lily, and Roland. And then the additional faction, which will be the last one that you'll be able to purchase, is the Geisha, the people of the Myra. So we've got Hannah, Fina, Gil, and Taro. We've got the models. These are the bases we're using. They've got a little pointy nose on them. Now the models I've been painting don't have these. We've added this afterwards. Hey Comic Lord, how you doing? Thank you for joining. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. I'm a big fan of the work as well. Let me give you a little shout out actually, man. Hope you're keeping well. There we go. So yeah, so the bases here, these denote the front facing, so you haven't got to interpret it so much. The game's very much focused on the facing that you use in game. So your front facing, your back facing, your side facings all are important in terms of your direction of attack, but also the direction that you're being attacked from. So that obviously your rear is a weak point, your front is your strongest side. And this just helps you to kind of identify that. So I've been using standard 30mm round bases for all of my models. So I'm going to have to put a little kind of 3D printed triangular nose on them, which I'll probably just put up as a free STL file in case anybody wants to use them. So yeah, so there's the box. There it is with a book pull out. There are a few changes to the game, so we'll get some updated pictures in here before it's. But yes, contents are subject to change, but you'll still get value for money out of what you're buying. Okay, so they're available. They're there now. You can go and pre-order that if you want. I'm going to start rolling that out very shortly. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Comic. Yeah, I mean, I've been doing it for about a year and a half, I think now. Yeah, I started not September, just gone, but the September before. You get a lot of swag in there. You do, and obviously this is just the start of us rolling it out. So we're going to be putting the product out there to kind of engage people. So we're going to be. How do we get back to home now? Home. We're going to be putting the product out there for people to kind of engage with and play. We're not going to be doing it through a Kickstarter. We're just running this purely as a pre-order. We've got the money to fund it, so we can produce the first 1,000 copies of the game without having to kind of like rely on any crowdfunding. So the pre-orders is just a chance for us to kind of get a lump sum of people in, so we can start rolling it out en masse and kind of get a bit of momentum running. And what we're going to do is, over the pre-order process, we're going to start running this like a Kickstarter campaign. So we're going to send out regular updates. We're going to be sending out kind of little character bios, little kind of features. We've got some gameplay videos in the works. Max is working on some video footage so we can show you the game in action. So yeah, there's loads and loads and loads of stuff coming. We want to be supporting this game for 3 to 5 years minimum, depending on how well it's received. We've got loads of story to tell you. We've got loads of stuff to be rolling out, and probably the first time we're going to see this on the table anywhere is probably going to be at Chilcon in Derby, which I believe is the 17th of March. So I'll be there. I'll be selling all my usual swag, all the miniature range, the RPG range and stuff like that, but we'll probably have a ton of Crystal Collapse goodness there as well, so be sure to pop in by and see us. Guys, I need to get going. It's 2 o'clock, it's time for me to clock off. I'm going to go and have some lunch with the wife and then gear up to go and pick the kids up. I'm going to take them birthday shopping for the wife's 40th after school tonight, so a little outing to the shops, spend some money. So if you want to go to the shop and buy something and make me feel a little bit better about spending some cash, it's appreciated. But yeah, guys, just I'll be back. I think I've got a meeting tomorrow. I won't be able to stream tomorrow, but I'll probably try and get streaming on Thursday. We'll do a little bit more, probably some terrain actually. I'll be doing a little bit of terrain on Thursday. I've got a medieval Dark Ages market to make, and a few other odds and sods for a Kickstarter I'm going to be working on. Oh, give me a second, guys. So yeah, I'm going to just knock this on the head now. And I say keep your eyes peeled for notifications, and hopefully I'll be back around Thursday. Comment, DM me anytime you want. You want to do a little collab or anything like that, I'm always happy to discuss. It'd be a pleasure to work with you on anything. So guys, thank you all, and yeah, go sign up for the challenge, see what kind of weird stuff you can create, and you can download these little beauties. So I'll get them loaded up later on. Alright people, thank you all very much for joining me, and I will